Okay, so
that one?
all right. So we're here with Carlos Suarez de Jesus, and we have Ahol Sniffs Glue. We're at Mercenary Square, preparing the debut show. What is the title?
Full time. Ahol full time.
Yeah.
Full time.
For our non-Spanish viewers, what does this mean?
Full time? In Spanish?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Ahol full time?
No, I'm talking about the...
In Spanish, how do you say it?
No, the title.
Ahol full time.
Oh, I thought you said putan.
Full time? No, Ahol full time.
Ahol full time, okay.
Ahol pinchando duro, full time.
Okay.
Borderline all the time.
Alright.
And overtime. For real.
So, what might we know you for here in Miami?
For stickers, putting up stickers and fucking eyeballs, and for parties.
Yeah?
For the vagabond.
And what are some major murals that you'll be known for here in Miami?
The main one was the Marketplace Warehouse. We did that like several years ago. I love your crew. I painted Electric Pickle, the Vagabond, fucking just like random like murals throughout.
And your last solo show, where was this?
Butter Gallery.
When was it?
It was in March. It'll be 2 years. So
2 years ago.
March 2010. Yeah.
So is this your second solo exhibition?
Yeah, I mean I've done other stuff, but like things that matter, like this is like I would consider this like my second one.
So I'm noticing a bit of a departure from what we may know you for. Can you explain how you arrived to the works in this exhibition?
I mean, pretty much like just digging in deep, like as far as digging into my regular things that I've been exposed to, like from having to work, regular job, having to, have very little time for myself to be on strictly creative mode. I've like dug in, and rather than, pushing away the shit that like I have to do, like my chores in life, I fucking embraced them, and I've been able to, use it as fucking fuel for my shit and come up with these shits.
So
tell about the difference working at 2 different jobs and what you ended up like.
I mean, I've worked 2 main office jobs before that. I've always been working little cubicle shits, like since I was 19 years old, or 18 years old. But I've been working straight since I was like 16. And it sucks because you learn that, in order to live, you gotta fucking make money. And unfortunately, to be creative and work at a cubicle, they usually don't go hand in hand. So to be able to dig in and try to use that shit like to my advantage and like kind of like a last laugh type of thing, it worked out.
When he had me over, he'd been like taking pictures of some of the stuff that he'd been doing. He was working at a video company, and they had him stack all those videos together, and like to get them organized when they went to the DVD. And he showed me the picture that he wanted to use like for the cover of the invitation. And I was like, "Why were you doing that?" And he was telling me that, that he felt like it was a total futile effort to have him doing this, like almost like a performative thing for him. I mean, he's thinking about getting out there and watching murals. Here he's stacking all the stuff, and then the people. It was like, let's make work for Ahol. Because as soon as they did it, they came in and destroyed it. But he managed to to document it at least with a cell phone, so this didn't end up like getting lost. And then it almost served as like a trampoline for some of these urban landscape pieces that he was doing, driving to and from work, on his motorbike. And they kind of look like that, like almost a flattened, bird's eye view of the urban landscape.
And all those shits, like, I mean, it took me about a week to do this. Like, mind you, this had nothing to do with what I was doing at work. Like, the porno industry was like taking a hit, and fucking business was slow, and they weren't, giving raises or anything like that. So what they would do is pull people away from like customer service jobs and shit like that. Like they had somebody painting doors inside the company, they had somebody else doing shit, and they made me organize that shit, and like it took me about a week to do it, and like a week after they destroyed it. So it's like, I mean, I did my duty for the company, you know, but it's one of those things that.
But I think the interesting thing is like the whole performative nature of it almost becomes like inside the building, like he's creating like an urban landscape of these things, rather than where he would want to be, you know, is painting, you know, one of his murals on an urban building. And I thought that was kind of interesting because it reflects his frustrations, you know, trying to do this stuff. And then it served as a springboard when he started, you know, like, you know, getting home, no access to the big buildings. Then he's painting these urban landscapes that look a lot like that.
Now, Carlos, this is a bit of a new venture, kind of. Although you've been doing that, you've had a gallery in the past, right?
Yeah, I had a space called Lab 6 in this same building over a decade ago.
So,
Actually, so it's like a return to my roots. The building was right next door. But I needed a space where I can paint, make stuff, and what have you, in an office area where I could go to and like really work rather than sit around at home in my underwear with the beer cranking out stories for the meantime. So I was like, I need to do this because I'm getting fat. So I decided to come out and do this. I've always, you know, been used to living in a warehouse or lab space. You know, not like sitting around, you know, eating, you know, cheeseburgers, drinking beer, typing, and then walking my little toy poodle around in the neighborhood. So I was like, screw this, I gotta go back and do it. This is the only place I can afford to. And I liked it that the neighborhood isn't really gentrified, or it isn't like a cheesy neighborhood.
Where are we, huh?
We're in the heart of Little Havana, man, on the corner of Southwest 6th Street and 12th Ave, you know? And I can't get better than this. I got a tattoo parlor next door, a Honduran dollar store, the storefront church of Jesus, La Cochesa, which means the storefront church of harvesting souls for Jesus. They just got through with the sermon about half an hour ago. Yeah, Santa Barbara Catholic Church across the street. We got the 6th Street container, the Mormons across the street, which are really interesting because we're knocking on the door, handing out Bibles. Instead of sending these kids from Utah out to third world countries to learn Spanish, now they send them here to Little Havana.
So what is the concept behind Mercenary Square?
Mercenary Square has several concepts. The space in the front is like so people that have nomadic projects or want to do something they couldn't do in a traditional gallery setting can have like a conceptual, you know, sandbox to play in. But the reason I named it Mercenary as well is because of the history of the building. When I was here last, it was during the Allianz crisis. And there was a pizza joint next door called Freddy's Pizzeria, immediately here next door. And Freddy was very much pro-Allianz, and he had been this Cuban rafter that had been rescued in the Florida Straits by the Queen Elizabeth. And he left Cuba, and he had a band there, Guanacan. So he came here, they rescued him. Some doctor gave him money to open his dream of having a pizza shop in Miami. When myself and my ex-wife, Vivian Martel, who runs O Cinema, found out, we're like, dude, let's set up a stage. He did his little stage. But he had a guy that worked for him, his maitre d' and chief waiter, mind you, in a place that had a counter and 2 little tables. The guy's name was Comandante Fromeda. Now, Comandante Fromeda had a Ho Chi Minh beard, and when he wasn't serving pizzas at Freddy, he was shooting bazookas at the Everglades, getting ready to launch an attack on Fidel Castro. So when the Allianz stuff happened, everybody at Freddy's would show up in camouflage and aprons with their like Ho Chi Minh beards or whatever, Allianz posters, and you know, there was a lot of mercenary action, and Comandante Fromeda would bring his briefcase with the free Allianz, you know, bumper stickers, and he would show us pictures of his, freedom group attacking Cuban cars in Havana. They'd speed in by night and pour gas. Pour sugar in the cops' gasoline tanks. So they were doing the bit for the neighborhood. You know, you got Alpha 66 down the street, so there's a lot of that guerrilla activity. The economy's fucked up. You got to scrape, you know, any dollar you can get. So I wanted it to be something on the same tip, hence the Mercenary.
So it says a lot that someone like you is giving Ahol an opportunity for your debut exhibition. Out of all the artists.
Well, you know what, the guys, you know...
In Miami, let's talk about Ahol.
Well, let me tell you, the reason I chose him, I've known his work for a long time, I've always enjoyed it, you know, we were talking about it, I wasn't ready to open the space yet, I was going to open it, you know, a month down the line, didn't need to work, but now, having talked to him, you know, a couple of months ago, he's like, dude, I want to do this, I have all these ideas, and I was impressed by the departure in his work, the huge conceptual leap that I saw that he was taking, you know, rolling the dice and like, you know, trying to be true to himself, and you know, and not, you know, fettered to a gallery, you know, or to some type of scene where they had him cranking out, you know, eyeballs like chorizo at, you know, like chorizo at a Hialeah chorizo factory. So he's like, I want to do this shit. I was like, dude, you know, come on, let's do your shit. The guy's like total gorilla, you know what I mean? And I love his work. So I was very impressed, and it's not an opportunity for him as much as an opportunity for me. You know, a whole different generation of people doing stuff and whatever. I believe in his work. He's had an incredible crew. Dude, let me tell you something. That SSK Stay Shitty crew this guy rolls with, they all have been here representing the 305 clean and shit out, you know, fucking up my bathroom door with graffiti. Now I gotta paint it over and shit, but like they've been helping, cleaning, you know, supporting and whatever, and there's a lot of talent in there. I want to, you know, I mean, I've already seen the guy that he worked with on the video, Julian Yuri Bearclaw Rodriguez, is it? Yeah. He's doing some interesting stuff.
So typically, Ahol, we've been knowing you for doing maybe what? These well, murals outside and 4 foot by 8 foot panels and paint on wood. But here we see different type of mediums. Why don't you explain what we would be able to find during the opening here?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the stuff is all like, it was just a way of, you know, me being able to use, I don't know, I'm not really good at these things to begin with.
No, but we have video,
yeah.
right?
No, I mean, I'm talking about like as far as interviews and shit.
No, no one's good.
No, the shit is like...
Turn the camera on me.
Like, I just felt like I had zero pressure, you know what I mean? Other than, you know, upholding, you know, disrespect to this dude, Carlos, I've known forever, like, believe in him. So, like, you know, I wanted to come through correctly, dude. And this shit is still, I mean, I've always had an eye for shit that I thought was dope or fun or, like, you know, would make me laugh. And I always figured that, like, if something was cool and right, you know, that why not fucking let it be seen? It's not like, it wasn't doctored, it wasn't, you know, it was all straight up from the soul. And
yeah, it's not sugarcoated. You know, one of the things that interested me, pardon that I, like, you know, jump in and step like your tongue here.
Help me out anywhere you can.
It's like he's using works on paper, he has drawings, he has a video piece that he hasn't presented in the back, and a sound piece. Now, here's the interesting thing for me. You know, the conceptual loop that he's tied together. I told you he worked at a porn company, had some stuff. But once he left that company, he started working at a diet company selling high-end diet food. You know, on the phone, and they had him, he had already been working on phone sales, but they sent him to this phone mastery, you know, course. And what I found fascinating after our conversations, he's like, dude, at the, you know, at the porn company, he's selling men on the phone the dream that they could be, you know, with this fantasy, you know, chick of their, you know, they're selling them the dream of having access to desirable women. Now, at the food company, he's doing the same thing, but, you know, like on the other side of the pendulum, he's selling women, you know, the fantasy or the dream that they could, you know, slim down and become desirable to the man, you know, that they want to be with. So it's kind of like the same thing. They're selling, you know, they're working with, you know, with that whole thing about self-image and, you know, who they can be with, desire, fantasy, or whatever. And it's kind of, you know, it has to do a lot with exploitation. So the video piece that he has, he actually filmed a co-worker that's
a really good person.
And is known as like one of the top salespersons at the company. You know, her you know, she weaves this whole like spell on the video of like desire and all this stuff, selling this product to women that they can't live without. It's going to change their life. It changed hers. You know, and it almost sounds like, you know, she's doing phone sex, you know, in the context that you listen to it. And, you know, what I found interesting is that he used that video, and what happened, and the woman's a little bit overweight. I don't mean to insult her, I know she's coming, but she's overweight. She's selling the fantasy that they could be like her, it changed her life. So, the sound piece with the men, it's the men ordering these videos, you know? And there's a correlation there. And what I found interesting was that this guy even went to the crazy leap that he diluted some of the, the phrases from them ordering the videos from like, hey, I want to order bootylicious black teenage lesbian 1 and 2. Let me get the credit card for my grandmother. And he digitalized those, those phrases and ran them through a computer and knocked out these sound waves that almost look like urban graffiti writing if you look at them, when I showed you the picture. And then he sent them to a 3D printer that the guy that printed them, it's turned into these sculptures. If you blow on, they move, and like it's kind of like closing that conceptual, loop of communication, that the works imply. But the really cool thing is that the guy that helped him do this, Werner Blumenthal, the guy's like a mad scientist that went to space when he was doing this, is a childhood rat hood from his same neighborhood in Cutler Ridge that they grew up cracking heads together and shit. Now the guy, I'm just thinking, I said, the guy, they grew up together in the hood and what have you, and the guy went and got a PhD or something like that as an engineer, and he's making these fucking crazy sculptures when he usually would be making like heart valves and stuff for experimental surgery, or he would be making like these huge, prototypes for machines, for like industrial manufacturing. So I find all of that stuff super, super interesting. And I just think that the risk that he's taking working in these different medias and like really believing in himself and doing that, for me, it's been like the
Zero pressure.
yeah, no, it's the time constraints and everything. Everybody pulled it together.
Very nice.
And it's been like,
So,
we had the ideas and people just got behind them and rolled with it.
And then when is the show opening?
The show opens this Friday, February 17th at 7 p.m. from 7 to 11.
Well, thank you guys for this dirty interview. And I think this is an exclusive.
It is an exclusive.
Thanks.
Awesome, dude.